All right, welcome back, everybody. We're diving up again today. And this time it looks like we're headed straight into the middle of U.S. politics. You guys sent in some really interesting articles about this race for chair of the Democratic National Committee. And I got to say, it's a pretty important position, wouldn't you say? I mean, we're talking about the leader of one of the major political parties in the U.S. So, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. And there's one candidate in particular who's been making headlines, and that's, it's Marianne Williamson. You might recognize her name. She's a pretty well-known author, writes a lot about, spirituality and self-improvement. And she's actually run for president a couple of times, too. First in 2020 and then again this year in 2024. She didn't get the nomination either time, but it definitely shows she's not afraid to, jump into the political ring. And now she's going for this DNC chair position, which, let me tell you, it's not an easy job. Whoever gets it's basically going to be steering the whole Democratic Party. They'll be responsible for fundraising, planning campaign strategies.
Really just making sure the party has its act together and presents a united front. So we're talking about a position that can influence everything, like who the Democrats choose as their candidates, what kind of message they send to voters, and all of that ultimately affects their chances of winning elections in the future. Pretty big shoes to fill, right? Now, getting to the heart of it all. Williamson released this campaign announcement video, and let me tell you, she did not hold back. She's basically saying the Democratic Party needs a complete overhaul. I mean, she even said, quote, Donald Trump is a 21st century political phenomenon. We need to become one, too. Okay, so that definitely raises some eyebrows, right? What exactly does she mean by that? Well, when you look at her platform, you start to see a really interesting theme emerging. And it's this focus on connecting with voters on a deeper level, like an emotional and psychological level. It's not just about the usual policy debates and talking points. It's about tapping into people's feelings, like hope, inspiration, giving them a sense of purpose and meaning, really trying to resonate with them on a deeper level. And that focus on emotional engagement, well, that's a pretty big difference between Williamson and the other folks running for this position. Speaking of which, let's talk about who else is in the running. We've got some familiar faces in the mix, like Martin O'Malley, the former governor of Maryland. Then there's Ben Wickler, who's currently running the Wisconsin Democratic Party, and Ken Martin, who's leading the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Oh, and we can't forget about James Skoufis, a New York State senator who's also thrown his hat into the ring. Now, something interesting to note here is that, at least as of right now, Williamson is the only woman who's announced her candidacy for DNC chair. Okay, now you might be thinking, why should I even care about this internal Democratic Party election? And that's a fair question. But here's the thing. The DNC chair has a lot of power and influence over where the party goes. Their decisions affect not just the inner workings of the party, but also the policies they support. And those policies, they can have a real impact on your daily life, whether we're talking about healthcare, education, the economy, you name it. The direction the Democratic Party takes under its new chair, well, it has the potential to reach into every corner of American society. So yeah, I'd say it's worth paying attention to. And just so you know, this election is happening pretty soon. It's scheduled for February 1st, 2025. All 448 members of the DNC will be casting their votes, and whoever gets a majority wins. So there you have it, folks. That's the story of Marianne Williamson and her bid to lead the Democratic Party. It's definitely an interesting twist in the world of politics, wouldn't you say? It's really a question of, will her unique approach to politics win over the DNC members? Can she really bring about the kind of transformation she's talking about? Or will the party stick with a more traditional approach? Only time will tell how this whole thing plays out. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be fascinating to see how this unconventional candidate shakes things up. Until next time, everybody, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.